Oh, then I turn it over to my dear cousin.
Everything circles around you, Isabel, correct?
Oh my God, you're frightening me. All right,
Yeah, we agree
I'm
about that.
Isabel Warner. Today is Sunday, August the 3rd, 2014, and I'm excited and happy and thrilled to be here with my family and my newfound cousin and his family and my other cousin, and I feel blessed and grateful at my age to discover this, and I love you both. I think that this is an incredible experience for me. It's emotional, and I knew I wanted to see you, and I am so happy that you are here. I am so happy. And I have to tell you, Jurek and I met with each other about a week and a half ago, and we spent nearly 6 hours, the two of us. Never was there an awkward moment. Never was there any, we just talked and hugged and spent a great day. And for me, it was so special. And that was a great way for us to be together. Because today is a different day. Today is lots of fun. Goodbye, darling. I'm saying goodbye to some family out there.
Here's the family.
So-
Say goodbye.
Now we can wait.
And so I'm one happy lady today, very, very happy. And I've met Jurek's family and Herb's family and my own children, and my cup runneth over. That's all I can tell you.
Jurek, you started this process when?
Actually, I haven't. I just put out a krug and got JSON on it. I advertised my interest on the internet, my interest in two families from Tarnopol. And Jason responded and said, perhaps there is some connection, as I am interested in this and that. And I looked at what Jason wrote me. And I remembered that I responded, I believe that the proper formula for that occasion is, Jason, where have you been all my life? So Jason is actually the hero of this event. And what can I tell you? Isabel and I had met for 6 hours, and she's my beloved cousin today. So I'm moving very fast. I proposed to my wife Angelica after having known her for 8 hours. So,
I will accept any proposal.
we'll talk about that tomorrow.
So how are you related to Isabel?
My grandfather, David Samuel, or in Polish, David Samuel, or for short, David Shmuel, had an elder sister, Eti Teme. They were born in the mid-1800s in Tarnopol, in then Austro-Hungarian Empire, in the province of Galicia. He had an elder sister and two younger brothers, Isaac, Itzhak, and Ignatius. So my grandfather and Herbert's grandfather, David Samuel, and Isabel's grandfather, Yitzhak, were brothers. So we are second cousins. This is pretty close.
That's pretty darn close. Now, you lived in Poland till 21?
1969. I was born after the war.
48?
After the war, Poland moved westwards some 180, 200 miles. And what used to be between 1918 and 1939, the Polish Republic, now became Soviet Union, Western Ukraine. Now it is Ukraine. And once they survived that, they survived the Shoah on the occupied Polish grounds. And once they realized that this is going to stay within the borders of Soviet Union, they moved westwards and settled in Poland.
Didn't they feel threatened?
I'm sure they were. I have been asking myself that question many, many years now. Why did my parents, after all those terrible experiences, my mother lost her father and both her sisters to the Shoah. My father survived along with Herbert's mother, who then was in Canada, and one brother. They lost 6 siblings. My grandmother, my paternal grandmother was killed as well. Cousins, their children, all of them had children. Why they stayed on, I don't know. I never asked them. My father died when I was 16 years old. So I didn't have time to ask him. I haven't asked my mother either.
Did you feel personally threatened? Here you're a young man. What happened? You were in school. Did you feel any, there were any problems with fellow students?
There were a few incidents. In between 1956 and 58, there was a certain relaxation. This was after Khrushchev's disclosure of Stalin's crimes in 1956. The oppression was relaxed for a period of time. So suddenly religion was Catholic religion, of course, was taught at school. I was 10 years old then, and there was another boy who wanted to force me to stay on in the Catholic religion class, and I refused. So we started fighting. I hit him on his nose. He told his father. The father went to the headmaster. The headmaster said convened all the school and said, next time anybody tries to force anybody to stay in the religion class, this boy will be relegated from school. So these were quite innocent experiences until 1968-69, when the government started an intensive and brutal anti-Semitic campaign that resulted in our leaving the country along with 50,000 out of 20,000 Jews that lived in Poland then.
Why Sweden?
Because we had 5 options. We could go apply for a permit to settle in the United States. We could go to Israel, we could go to Germany, to Denmark, and to Sweden. And I was 21 years old then. At that time, my brother was 17. And for me, America and Israel were interesting, but just too exotic, and Germany was not acceptable for other reasons. So I had to choose between Denmark and Sweden. And I had not seen any Danish films, but I had seen many Swedish films by Ingmar Bergman and such. And also I had heard that there were beautiful... Well, I will not go into that subject. It was confirmed eventually, but it took me some 30 years before.
But that was a big part of the decision, obviously.
Absolutely. I had a feeling
So
that there might be a girl by the name of Angelica waiting for me. I followed my instinct. These were very rational decisions. I mean, we were pressed for time. We had to get out. We had 2 weeks on us to apply, and before we even applied, we had to ask them for us be stripped of Polish citizenship. So we were stateless when we were leaving Poland, and everything was hurry, hurry, we have to get out in time before they closed this.
Are you a Swedish citizen now?
I am.
Uh-huh.
I became Swedish citizen after 7 years in Sweden.
Herbert,
Yes, sir.
you have an interesting travel. How did you went from Israel to here, correct? But
Yeah.
before that,
Well, before that, I was a child. I was in Vienna, Austria. I was born August 10th, which will make me 91 years old. So I have a long history to talk about, but I'll make it short. when Hitler marched into Vienna, I was 14 years old. I was a student at what they called the gymnasium or high school in Vienna. Was the only Jewish child in class. And when my professors walked in SS uniform, they were prepared already for Hitler marching into Vienna. I was the only Jewish child, so they put me in the so-called Jew bench, a few benches away from the Aryans, so I wouldn't contaminate them. And a little later, they expelled me from the high school. And being, my father was a Zionist, worked with Herzl at the time, and enabled me to go to Israel with the so-called Youth Aliyah, which was generated by Hadassah's Henrietta Salt. In fact, I have a letter when I joined the army that Henrietta wrote to me and other people who volunteered in 1942. The army was the British Army then, and we were in the Coast Guard, controlled both by the British and by the Haganah in the Palmach. I hadn't seen my parents and sister who lived in Montreal for 9 years, almost 10 years. And our meeting again was very emotional. So is this meeting, by the way. I'm very both thrilled and a little, what should I say?
Emotional?
Emotional. Thank you. I was looking for the right term. Because it brings so many things back to me, which are partially joyful, but also very painful. But I'm very grateful to both Jurek and Isabel of connecting us again with our family. And that's what I mentioned before, was the desire of people that survive